Wonder why President Obama is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. He has been able to reshape relations with all countries across the world. Let's start with Venezuela. A new interview with Spanish TV channel. Here's how our president described dictator Hugo Chavez.
My sense is that what Mr. Chavez has done over the last several years has not had a serious national security impact on us. We have to be vigilant. My main concern when it comes to Venezuela is having the Venezuelan people have a voice in their affairs, and that you end up ultimately having fair and free elections, which we don't always see.
Really? He's not a threat? He's aligned with Iran and Russia. He jokes about working around with Ahmadinejad to create nukes. He says his ally is developing missiles for peaceful purposes. I mean, what are they fueling the bombs with? Love? Look at Chavez. Look what he's done to his own people. He has encouraged police brutality. Officers are responsible for 1 out of every 5 crimes and killed almost 8,000 people last decade. No, don't worry about dictators. He's a clown. Don't worry about him. Killed 8,000 people. He's changed the law so anyone who criticizes him gets thrown in prison for more than 2 years. He shut down a popular TV station for not broadcasting his agenda. He created his own Sunday TV show and put himself on TV for more than 1,000 hours to spew his communist filth. Non-government organizations that accept foreign aid are prosecuted for treason. He manipulated a political takeover of the Supreme Court by changing laws to make it possible to replace his appointed judges. The list goes on and on and on. But none of these themes seems like a real threat to President Obama. Obama is softening on Chavez. Well, why not spread the love? Chavez's communist buddy Raul Castro. Here's why we extended the olive branch to Cuba. Listen to this.
I believe that there should be a way for us to resolve this 50-year conflict with Cuba. But it involves recognizing liberty and releasing political prisoners and showing movement inside of Cuba. We've shown flexibility in remittances and lifting parts of the travel ban for family members. And I think that was the right thing to do.
Here's just a few other examples of the president's new frenemies. I mean, we already know he's eased restrictions on Cuba. On Venezuela, Hugo Chavez, he's not so bad. He gave Obama a gift in which the president gladly accepted. What's the big deal if we show some, as the White House says, show some diplomatic courtesy? Iran, you remember when Iran, President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, remember when Obama said he'd be willing to meet with Ahmadinejad? Russia, former President Dmitry Medvedev. Remember when he was caught on tape with Medvedev saying, look, I'm going to have some more flexibility after the elections. Help me out. I will transmit to Vladimir. Turkey. Obama takes parenting advice now from Turkey's prime minister, saying he's interested in his perspective on raising girls. Like, are you kidding? His girl is in a burqa and represents the pro-Islamic Justice and Development Party, need I say more. Egypt, the Muslim Brotherhood. The new president, a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, was invited to come to the White House this fall. This guy is fighting for the release of the blind sheik who is spending the rest of his life in prison for the bombing of the World Trade Center in '93. And if that's not bad enough, when Obama's White House recently granted a visa, they granted it to a member of the blind sheik's Islamic group. The same Islamic group that murdered Anwar Sadat for making peace with Israel. In Sudan, we've got a new buddy in Sudan. We just released the guy from Gitmo who guarded bin Laden and helped him get away from our troops. That guy's free to go back to Sudan. What? Diplomatic courtesies. Meanwhile, the Pakistani doctor who went and provided information to our government and our CIA to help capture bin Laden, he's in jail in Pakistan. They're ready to kill him. Obama doesn't want to get involved. I've always said, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. These are our enemies, but they are Barack Obama's friends. Now, let's take a look at how he's treated our allies, right? Countries that have traditionally stood by us for a decade. Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. Remember this? When he thought his mic was off, the president was caught insulting Netanyahu to Francis Sarkozy. During a visit to the White House, Obama left the prime minister waiting for over an hour while he had dinner with Michelle and the kids. What? I gotta pick my teeth. Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden have demanded Israel stop building in East Jerusalem. The list is very long on Israel. England, the most obvious and blatant example, was he packed up the Winston Churchill bust in the Oval Office and shipped it back to the British. Watch tomorrow night's show. Don't miss tomorrow night's show. Then he added insult to injury by calling France our strongest ally. Poland, they hate us now after the president said, what? They were building these death camps. Nazi, German death camps, not Polish death camps, Mr. President. France offended Sarkozy's fragile ego when he congratulated him on the birth of his daughter, adding that he hopes the girl inherited her mother's good looks. In Germany, he pushed them too far. Clean up the economic mess which you've created. The other Eurozone countries are hemorrhaging money and he's pushing. Meanwhile, he can't get his own financial house in order. You get the point. He has fundamentally transformed our friends into our enemies and our enemies into our friends. Let me make myself clear. I don't care if Mitt Romney isn't your guy. He's not my guy. You don't have to love him. You don't have to like him. You don't have to want to have a beer with him. Let me just say this. The guy is not a communist who's trying to fundamentally transform America. He's not an anti-colonialist. And beyond that, he's not an enemy of the state. If we have Barack Obama another term, he will have more flexibility. That's what he told me with his hand on my knee. I kind of liked it, Vladimir. He will have more flexibility. Obama, over the last 4 years, Obama has given us a wealth loss of over 40%. 40%. Now, let me put this into perspective. That takes us all the way back to where we were in 1992 when your net worth for every average family was $77,000. Okay, this started in 2007, so let's blame it on Barack Obama and George W. Bush. If we lose another 40%, that's not 80%, that's like what, 68%? If we lose the same amount, we have another crash, and tell me if you think this is a stretch. Do you believe, ask your friends this, do you believe we could have another hit as bad as the last one we had in 2008? The answer is yes. If we have a hit this bad, the United States of America will no longer be a first world country. This is the time to restore our country. Go to glennbeck.com right now. Get yourself, get your friends, get your family registered to vote. Click on the 1, 2, 3, 4. Click on the number 2. Activate. Get yourself and your friends and your family registered to vote. This is the time.